Hey everyone, how you doing? It's Josh Matthews Morgan here, and as promised, I'm doing a live demonstration today of what we call the erase and replace technique. And we're going to get started right away. I just have one quick thing I need to do on my phone to make sure everything's good with this live. And let's see, give me a second and we'll get started. I promise you this is going to be an awesome demonstration and an awesome I'm not finding it. Okay. Well, I'll get started. If I can't see it in a second, I'll get started anyways. All right. Something's going on with the live. Okay. No worries. Let's get rolling. All right. So I want to make sure everyone can see this, make sure this is public. Okay. I am going to demonstrate a technique today that we call the erase and replace technique. And the reason we call it that is because using this technique, you can literally delete any feelings, negative beliefs, internal obstacles that are holding yourself back in less than 10 minutes. So it's going to be awesome. And I've seen a couple of people jumping on the live. So just if you want to just leave a comment below and say, you say hello, I'm here, I'm excited, let me know. So before we dive straight into the technique, I need to do a little explaining, a little backstory. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Josh Matthews Morgan, and I am the co-founder of Learn Your Brain. And my business partner is actually my mother, which is kind of a unique situation, but she's awesome and brings a lot to the table that I don't bring to the table. And so, together we've written a book called Deliver: How to Perform Your Best When It Counts the Most. And what we really specialize is helping entrepreneurs who hold themselves back, get rid of the internal obstacles, the limiting beliefs, the negative habits or behavioral patterns that hold themselves back. But if you're not an entrepreneur and you want to watch along with this too, this applies to everybody. So one thing that we do in our work and that makes it kind of different is we are very focused on the brain science behind all of this and understanding human behavior on a brain level. So I'm going to unpack a little bit of that today before we jump into the technique. But I just want you to know that this is all based on research-based methods, and it's based on the human brain, and actually more than just the human brain. It's based on how the brain influences our behavior. So, all right, so I will teach you the basic steps of how to do this technique in this video. And it is a pretty simple tool. I'm not gonna have a chance to apply it to everyone's beliefs in this video and to show you, all the different advanced things that you can do with this, but you can absolutely delete, once you know the steps, you can delete basically any limiting belief, negative belief in 10 minutes or less. So, all right. So real quick, before I do a live demonstration of this technique, what is a limiting belief? Let me kind of explain that for a second. So a limiting belief is basically any belief or feeling that keeps you from getting what you want. And it can be things like, I'll give examples of how they've impacted my life. I've had many sleepless nights, for example, because of anxiety due to a limiting belief. I used to hold myself back a lot about when it came to selling, prospects, our services. I really freaked out on the inside. I almost had like a vomit attack, like a throw up attack. Often they show up in areas where you might procrastinate or you might avoid doing something, or maybe you have a pattern of anxiety or worry that you just can't shake. That is, a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of anxiety and even things as serious as clinical disorders, right? Things like bipolar disorder, they're driven primarily by implicit beliefs. And I don't have time to get into the science of that and unpack it, but it's a really broad, deep subject. So the key to this whole process, right? I want you to get clear on this. The key to the whole process is you've got to identify the story or the belief that is in what we call the emotional brain. So let me explain that real quick, and then I promise we'll do the demonstration pretty much right after that. So the very, very simple version of this is that you have two parts to your brain, right? Everyone has two. There's way more than two parts to the brain. This is very simplified, but it's true. So if you were to look at your brain like this is what some psychologists call the hand model of the brain, right? We can basically break it down into 2 or 3 different parts. The top part here is your fingers curled over, right? You have 2 hemispheres. That's why we do it like this. And this top part is the neocortex, right? You might have heard that before, the prefrontal cortex. That's a part of it. The cortex, right? It's the relatively newer part. We call this the rational brain, right? It's the top part of your brain. If you were to draw a line down kind of the middle of your brain here, right? There's a top part and there's a bottom part, okay? And so this, the top part is what we call the rational brain. The bottom part is this limbic area, right? What they call the limbic area, and the brain stem, which kind of work hand in hand together. And that's what we call the emotional brain, okay? So everything below the neocortex is what we refer to as the emotional brain. Now, why is this important? The reason it's important is because most approaches to transforming limiting beliefs or to changing mental programming are working on the top part of the brain, right? They're working on the rational part of the brain. They're geared to help you shift cognitions, help you change thinking, okay? And so that is really key to understand, because that's why a lot of them take a really long time to change limiting beliefs, if they even succeed at doing that, right? So basically every type of transformational intervention, therapy, technique, every type of technique can be boiled down to, does it work on the top parts of the brain more, or does it, the rational brain, or does it work on the bottom parts of the brain, the emotional brain? The things that cause the fastest transformation are interventions and tools that work with the emotional brain, okay? So anyone who's here, you want to just drop a quick, hey, hey, I'm watching, this is cool, this is interesting, if you've had any takeaways. All right, so recapping, rational brain on the top, emotional brain on the bottom. Now, why this is important, because the tool that I'm going to share with you today, the erase and replace technique, or emotional freedom technique, as it's commonly called, EFT, is, hey, Jared, how's it going, man? Good to see you. Is a technique that works more directly with that bottom part of the brain, the emotional brain. So this is not the only tool you can use. I'm going to demonstrate it in a second, but this is not the only tool you can use. There's a bunch of different modalities for changing the emotional brain programming, but most of them require you to work with some kind of expert specialist who specializes in that, and they tend to be therapy modalities. This is the one that's our favorite, because it's one that anyone can learn how to do on their own, and they can shift beliefs on their own while using this tool. So that's why we love teaching it. There's a ton of research backing it up. And yeah, so let me just, the reason we always give this preamble, right, before we introduce it, is because EFT looks strange, right? It's unconventional. It actually requires that you tap different points on your face and body. And so for that reason, it is, a lot of people say, that's weird, I don't want to do it. It is weird, right? And so quick preamble on the research, and then we're going to dive into the technique. So this has been looked at in over 141 different studies. We counted that 23 of those studies were what they call randomized controlled trials, RCTs, which is the gold standard of research. And it's proven to be an evidence-based, meaning research-backed, meaning it works, it's effective, method for making change very quickly. They've studied it on anxiety. They've studied it on generalized anxiety disorder, people who are always worried, trauma even, although we don't recommend you try to do trauma on your own, because that can open up a whole can of worms. All sorts of different issues, right? So sadness, that kind of thing. Okay, I'll drop a link here. I'm going to drop this link here. If anyone wants to read a little more on the research of it, there's a whole There's a whole slew. Hey, Melody, how's it going? There's a whole slew of research that's been done on this, and if you want to really nerd out on the research, just send me a message, and I'll be happy to send you a whole list of it. So, okay, why does this work? Well, there's a little part of, they're not 100% sure, but they think that the reason this technique works is because it does what's called counter conditioning of the amygdala. So, right, the amygdala is this little part in your limbic brain, it's a little P-shaped organ that is what is very tied in with limiting beliefs. A lot of people call it the smoke detector or the fire alarm, right? So this is the part of your brain that's scanning for threats in the environment. And when it sees a threat, right, which is what a limiting belief is, it triggers your body and your brain to go on hyper alert, right? And so limiting beliefs are always connected to the body. Right? I want to reemphasize that. That's why we have discomfort when we do things. Anxiety expresses itself within the body. Fear is expressed within the body. So they think that the reason this works, they're not 100% sure why. They know it works. They don't know the brain, what they call the neural mechanism behind it, is because that little P-shaped fire alarm gets turned off when you do it. So, all right, that's enough on the research. I'm going to go ahead and dive into this technique. And we're going to walk through emotional freedom technique, EFT, or what we call the erase and replace technique. And I'm going to give you we'll walk you through the basic steps of how to do it. So, okay. This is going to be a participation, video, Facebook Live. So what I want you to do is pick an issue that is not a really strong issue for you. So not like your deepest, darkest limiting belief, but something that is causing you some maybe pain or sadness. And on a scale of 1 to 10, so instead of it being like a 10, like a holy shit, holy crap, this is really strong, pick something that's like a 5 to a 7. Okay. So not trauma. Do not do this with trauma. But okay. So the next step we're going to do is I want you to create a feeling statement that it describes the feeling. Okay. So that feeling statement could be, I'll give you some examples. And actually it's best when you're first doing this to write it down, to write down the feeling statement. So for example, I feel overwhelmed right now at my to-do list. I feel frustrated or angry at someone. Or maybe there's something that you are avoiding and you're not looking forward to. Okay. So for this to work, okay, the only reason this technique doesn't work in any person is because you haven't identified the correct belief or the correct feeling. Okay. So write it down if you have a chance to. If you don't, just kind of come up with a statement. I actually am going to use my own, but if you want to, feel free to type the statement in the chat and leave it there as your way of writing it down. By the way, this demonstration will take a little bit longer than 10 minutes to delete because I'm unpacking the steps and walking you through it. Once you have some experience using this tool under your belt, you can literally shift any negative belief in less than 10 minutes. There's a much faster way to use it too, but I'm going to give you the basics. So I actually had something come up right before I went live where I just discovered that a friend of mine who I've known for years and who we used to work together, we're close. I just discovered that he unfriended me out of the blue because we got into a respectful, not even a heated disagreement about the coronavirus. And, anyway, so I wasn't going to tap on anything myself because I'm usually fine, but I'm going to use that as my statement because I felt a little bit sad about that. It's not a 10, but like, it's kind of weird that he did that, and I feel kind of sad about it. So I'm going to write my statement down. So mine is going to be, I'm sad that, I'm not going to say his name, but I'm sad that my friend removed me on Facebook or unfriended me on Facebook for something kind of petty. Really, for something kind of petty. That's going to be my statement. Okay? All right. And I've got a friend who just said, okay, fear, yeah, Sabrina, fear of flying is a good one. Sorry, I'm trying to keep track of these. That's a great one to use for this. And Sabrina just said, oh, you're so handsome right now. She said that in Spanish. So gracias, Sabrina. All right. So you got your statement, right? So mine is, I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook for something kind of petty and silly. Okay, the next step is to put a number statement to it, okay? So one way to do that is just to speak it out loud. Speak out your limiting belief or your feeling out loud. And just immediately, whatever number pops into your head of how intense the feeling is, give it a number from 1 to 10, okay? So mine is like a 5 or 6. I'll say 6. Mine is a 6. So I will put that in the chat. And the reason we do the numbers is to see whether the technique is working, okay? Whether you're tapping on the right issue. Because remember, the only reason this doesn't work is if you're not tapping on the right issue, okay? Or if you haven't worded it the right way. So I'm gonna go roll with this, and so just follow along as well on your own, but we're gonna demonstrate this and bring your feeling down to a 0, hopefully to a 0. So let's roll. So the first thing you do is tap on what's called the karate chop point. Now this is the traditional way of doing it, right? So I'm going to teach you the traditional, basic, simple way of doing it. We have some more advanced techniques that we use inside of our coaching programs that work a little bit faster, but they take a little more explaining. So, all right. So start like this, even though, and then say your limiting belief or the feeling, even though I'm kind of sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook for something kind of petty, it's kind of ridiculous. And now did you say the second part? I'm open to letting this feeling go. Okay, so the start is even though limiting belief, I'll type this in the chat. We'll start with I'm open to letting this go. So you're going to just do that while you're tapping on this, what they call the karate chop point. Okay, so the next thing we do is the tapping. Okay, so after you've done this little setup, we call it the setup statement. You're going to do some tapping on these different points, and I'll walk you through it. And as you tap, I want you to say what we call the reminder phrase. So the reminder phrase is just a little statement of about the limiting belief, right? About the feeling. Simple. Keep it simple. So, oops. Typing this in. All right. So, for example, we're going to tap here. So you're going to follow these 3 points. You're going to follow the bony ridge around your eye, and these points have been tested in the research and shown to be more effective. The correct points. So you're going to tap here, and you can do it with 2 fingers. You can do it with 1 finger, and you're going to say your little reminder phrase. So for mine, it's I'm sad that my friend unfriended me. I'm kind of sad. Okay. Okay. Then you're going to go to this next point right here, and again, you're following the bony ridge. So just find that bone to the side of your eye, and tap again. I'm sad that my friend unfriended me. By the way, can someone put their number? You don't have to put your feeling in, but put your number in of how intense and where your starting place, so we know if this is working. Okay, so type your number into the chat for if you're following along. If it's a 10, a 7, whatever. Okay, so second point, I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. It's kind of sad that he was being petty like that. Okay. All right, then underneath the eye, but again, kind of find that bone right there. I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. It's kind of messed up. Okay. You can just say the same phrase over and over again. That's the simple way to do it. So here you're just going to go between your nose and your upper lip. I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. I'm just going to repeat the same phrase. Here on your chin, I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. I'm just going to repeat the same phrase. Let's see what we got. Okay, we got a 7 and we got an 8. Good. Remember those numbers. I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. Okay, this is just your chin. Okay, and then you're gonna basically find your collarbone point, which is find your collarbone, and then underneath it is a little indentation, and you're just gonna tap in that little hole or indentation in your collarbone. So I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. Okay. All right, so we always do 2 rounds. So we're going to do the same thing, and this is good for you to see the repetition of it so you can kind of get the hang of it. So up here, I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. Okay, same first eye point, second eye point. I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. If you have any questions, feel free to put your questions into the chat too. I'm happy to answer them as we go. Okay, I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. Third eye point. Between the nose and the upper lip, I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. We go way back, and that just feels very petty. I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. And I am kind of sad. I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. All right, so let's just do what we usually do 2 rounds and then check back in. But let me do one more quick round to show you how quick this can be. I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. We go way back, and it's sad that he just unfriended me over something so silly. I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. We go way back, and it's sad that he unfriended me over something so silly. I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. Okay, so we did 3 rounds there, but usually you do 2 rounds and then check back in. Okay, so for those of you, Melody, Jared, who wrote your number, your starting number, 7 and an 8, what is your number at now? So, but the way to do this is, again, to speak it out loud. Speak your limiting belief out loud again. Speak belief out loud again. And check it. Okay. So mine is, I'm sad that my friend unfriended me on Facebook. Okay. And I'm at like a 3 or a 4. Okay, it's went down from like a 6 to like a 3 or a 4. I feel it. There's a lot less sadness. Okay, so feel free to type your numbers in the chat. So the rule of thumb with this technique is that after 2 rounds, right, you go through the tapping points twice, and saying your little reminder phrase. After 2 rounds, you check back in, and the number should have gone down by at least 2 points, 2 to 4 points. That's the standard of what we see. So like on average 3 points. So mine went from a 6 to a 3. And let's see. Yeah, mine went from a 6 to a 3. And so feel free to type that back into the chat. All right, I don't have a chance to, if your number is not going down, people say, oh, EFT doesn't work for me. It works for every single person that we have used it with. The only reason I want to repeat this is that it's not going down is you haven't hit on the core belief or feeling that's behind it. Okay. Okay. All right. So all of a sudden I just realized I kind of felt a little more sadness about this situation. And it kind of got stronger. So I'm going to change the way cool. Melody says 6 maybe, but there's a lot of layers to mine. It's helping though. It's more situational, Jared says. Okay. The true test to see if this is working is to get it down to a 0. So get it down to a 0 in the moment, and then go back out into that situation and see if you still have some feelings come up. Okay. So I just really want to emphasize the sadness aspect of it for mine. So I'm just going to like go through another round. So we're going to do this again, okay? And sadness, right? The sadness that my friend unfriended me. Feel the sadness. Okay, sadness that my friend unfriended me. The sadness that my friend unfriended me. And breathe as you do this too. The sadness that my friend unfriended me. The sadness that my friend unfriended me. Okay. The sadness that my friend unfriended me. And we'll do another round. Remember to use your own statement as the reminder phrase, right? The sadness, I'm sad because my friend unfriended me. And actually, normally I would be saying the person's name in this case, but I'm not going to do that to protect his privacy. But that's one of the reasons. Usually small tweaks in wording of how you change the wording of your belief can make big differences in terms of how quickly you clear it, okay? So I'm sad that my friend unfriended me. So I'll just say he. I'm sad that he unfriended me. We go way back. It's kind of sad. I'm sad that my friend unfriended me. We go way back, and it's kind of sad. I'm sad that my friend unfriended me. We go way back, and it's kind of sad. I'm sad that my friend unfriended me. We go way back, and it's kind of sad. All right, I'm just closing my eyes just to kind of feel my way through this. I'm sad that my friend unfriended me. We go way back, and it's kind of sad. I'm sad that my friend has unfriended me. We go way back, and it's kind of sad. All right. I'm sad that my friend unfriended me. We go way back, and it's kind of sad. So what happened with me, okay, in this particular instance, I was at a 5 or a 6. You might have seen it in my face. I kind of got in touch with a stronger feeling, right? And the way, when I changed the wording of it, the feeling went up for me. So it was at a 5 or 6 and it went up to like an 8 or a 9. And so that happens, right? So when I say you can delete any limiting belief in 10 minutes or less, 100% true, right? But sometimes you clear off one layer, as we call it, or one aspect of it, and the stronger feeling emerges, right? So when you're doing this process, you need to roll with that feeling if it comes up. Excuse me. So it's that sadness, right? So let's do another round. The sadness, I feel sad because he unfriended me. I feel sad because he unfriended me. And you don't need to spend a lot of time on each point. I'm doing it so you can see it. I feel sad because he unfriended me. I feel sad because he unfriended me. Oops, sorry, I skipped a point. I sometimes do that when I'm tapping for myself. I feel sad because he unfriended me. I feel sad because he unfriended me, okay? All right, so I'm starting to feel better about that feeling. It's down to probably like a 4 or 5 now. So Melody, Jared, check in with me and tell me, or whoever else is doing this, where are you at on your feelings? Where are you at on your, on your numbers? And let me ask this. Someone suggested that I do this Facebook Live as a like a coaching session with someone else, and I walk through how to do it so you can see it in action instead of just me kind of talking at the screen. Would that be helpful for you to see that? Let me know. Let me know in the chat, and we can do that next week, right? So you're at a 5 or 6, Jared, and you started at 8. Okay, that's fine. So see if there's a more true way to word the feeling, right? All right. So, and see if it'll go down by then. But you went from an 8 to 5 or 6, so that's good. All right. So I'm going to keep tapping on this. we're going to bring it down to 0. I want you to try to bring it down to 0. I'm sad because I feel sad because my friend unfriended me, because he unfriended me. I'll just say he. I feel sad because he unfriended me. I feel sad because he unfriended me. I feel sad because he unfriended me. The sadness because he unfriended me. Go back to this point. Sadness because he unfriended me. The sadness because he unfriended me. The sadness because he unfriended me. And in this case, I'm actually imagining, I'm actually seeing my friend kind of in the eye. Jared said, yes, it would. Okay. Okay, so Melody says the sadness part is diminished a good bit, but the anxiety part isn't going anywhere. Okay, good. So that's good. That's actually successful. So when you're doing this tapping, okay, I'm not, normally you would just go down till it's like a 0. I'm at a 2 or a 3 now, and I know that if I were to continue doing this tapping process, it would get to a 0. So Jared says, yes, it would. Okay, so I had a couple people request that, so I'm going to do that for my next Facebook Live next Friday. We're going to have someone on live, and I'm going to show how we break this person's, how I identify the person's negative belief, some tools and techniques that you can use, and I'll give a live demonstration of this, and we're going to clear that one. We're going to take one issue or limited belief and give that person some success with it, some relief with it, okay? So we'll do that next Friday. But yeah, Melody says the sadness part is diminished good, but the anxiety part isn't really going anywhere. That is normal, okay? So with issues, right, when anytime something happens to us that creates a negative feeling or a limiting belief, there's often, usually, there are different aspects to it, okay? There are different emotional, we call them aspects or like angles on the feelings, okay? So the anxiety might be about something, and again, without coaching you in person and doing this with you in person, I can't say for sure exactly what the anxiety might be about. But sometimes you need to bring up multiple different aspects and clear them one by one for you to have lasting relief from it, okay? So I'm going to pause this. I'm going to pause the demonstration of this technique. 6 still, I think. Okay. All right. So if I had someone who volunteered to be the guinea pig for next week, and I'll check back in with him again. But if anyone here wants to be the person and is comfortable with doing this type of work live so other people can see you doing it, just feel free to reach out to me. You can send me a private message, anything like that. So I just wanted to have you experience this technique a bit. Now, what I've shared with you in terms of the steps is everything you need to do to clear a limiting belief, right? The actual steps you need to do to take, right? So let's recap it. The karate chop point with that statement, even though I feel this way, I'm open to letting it go, okay? That second part of the statement you can change to something else, but that's what we like to use. And then well, put your number on it to make sure it's going down or not. And then do the tapping around each of these points while you're repeating the reminder phrase, okay? Do that twice, and I'm doing it faster than you should do it, but, you know, reminder phrase, sadness, the sadness, the sadness. Okay, and if it didn't go down by at least 2 to 3 points, then check back in with your number and change the statement, okay? If it's like, if you were at a 7 and now you're at a 6, go, okay, it's not quite the right way to word it, right? It's not quite the right feeling that I need to be tapping on. There's a different aspect to it, or there's a different way of wording it that feels more true. What you're looking for here, the essential piece to this is you're looking for the emotional truth, what we call the emotional truth, how your feeling brain, your emotional brain really sees the situation, okay? So for those of you who, I see some people who are joining kind of late, this is, this video will be up, and I'll tag people in it who said they wanted to do it. Those of you who want more one-on-one help with us, this is, and actually who wants to learn how to use this technique, right? So Nita, my mom and business partner, and I have been using EFT and helping people clear their beliefs for like combined 20 years together. So using it on ourselves, using it on others. And we have created a method called the free method that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. And that's based on the brain science of how to make these things shift even faster, okay? So what I've showed you today is really an intro. It's a primer into how to use this tool. Again, it's not the only tool, but it's the one that most people can learn on their own to shift their programming quickly on their own, right? Just even from watching a video like this. So for those of you who are interested in this, and by the way, you can find a ton of resources and research on emotional freedom technique. If you're not clear on the steps, you can find images that show the points. You can get, we have in our program, we've got a breakdown of, do this, then do this, do this. But you can find that online, right? That's all free on videos and on Google. What you won't find online, most likely, are people who know how to get results with it very quickly, okay? The steps that you do and the points you tap on, some people do it differently, okay? You might see a different variation. It doesn't matter, okay? The key is to be able to identify the feelings in the emotional brain. And that is tricky because they're subconscious, right? This lower level is below your thinking brain. That means that a lot of these feelings are stored at a subconscious level. So if you want extra help with this, if you want to learn the fast way to clear your limiting beliefs and to not just erase them, but to replace them with positive programming, meaning you can go from feeling anxious about selling to actually being excited and eager about selling, we have a whole method that shows you how to do that inside of our Mindset Mastery coaching program, okay? So if you're interested in taking this a step deeper and working with us, it's a group setting, but we also bonus and throw in some private coaching sessions into that program, okay? So anyone who wants to check that out, I'm gonna leave a link for you to have a free assessment chat with us, a free strategy session. So feel free to reach out. You can also, I'll post this in here. You can also, EFT, you are totally your dad's kid. All right, I'll take that as a compliment. I like my dad. That's the link that you can use to sign up for a free chat with us, a free strategy session. Also feel free to send me a direct message on Facebook if you're friends with me. Or if you've seen this video somewhere else, we'll post a button that you can use to sign up. We'll make it easy for you. But yeah, like Gary Craig, I just want to leave you on this final note because this is already running longer than I intended. Gary Craig, who is the creator of EFT, of Emotional Freedom Technique, said that it's helped so many people with so many issues, but there's a silent sea of disappointed people, those are his words, who have used it and haven't gotten the results they want with it. And the reason for that is because everyone is teaching superficial EFT. Everyone is teaching superficial ways to change programming and that don't really get at that deep level of change, that deep radical level of transformation. And by radical, I mean not crazy, I mean at the root, right? When you can identify the emotional roots behind issues, then your tapping process happens so much faster and like magic. And we've got a whole kit of tools that inside of our program, and we've got decades of experience literally using this on ourselves and others. So I am going to do another live session next week with someone as a guinea pig. And so feel free to look forward to that. But in the meantime, if you want some support, and if you want to run with this and learn how to do this on your own, sign up for a free chat with us using that link, and we'll be happy to talk with you. So I hope that you found this helpful. And feel free to ask any questions that you have. If you're watching the replay of this, to leave your comments below and ask any questions that you might have about this video, if anything wasn't clear that I explained or anything like that. So, all right, I'm going to sign off for now, but thank you, everyone. My name is Josh Matthews Morgan, and again, hope you found this helpful. This is the EFT, or the erase and replace technique, is the single great fastest tool that we know for changing programming once you know the steps of how to really use it for great effect, right? What I shared with you today is a primer, right? It is the basics of how to do it. But really the strategy is understanding how to identify the root causes of emotions, right? And that's something that we have spent, I've spent a whole year reading a book about the emotional brain that is extremely dense. So I could take that information and train other people on it, and right, and give them here's the exact steps of what you need to do, right? So most people don't have that kind of stamina to read a book, but I'm deeply passionate about this subject. So feel free to reach out. I've really enjoyed this time. We're already at 40 minutes, so I'm gonna put it on pause, and let me know if you have any questions. All right, thank you.